Hey folks, I'm here. I'm just getting a few things together. Make sure we have everything we need. I have had this planned out for you guys for a couple of days now, and I had it all sitting up, and then I got kind of creative yesterday with some of my new stuff. So I have to go find it again. You know, it's the problem with having a tiny little space to work in. You don't get to have a lot of room to have projects sitting around. You have to basically clean up every time you're done, which is, I like that, but also at the same time, if I have something that I need to dry overnight, it just is what it is, you know, and I have to keep a quarter of my office perfectly clean and beautiful for my husband because he works in here. So just trying to find, here we are live. There we go. Got the volume off. And we can see your comments now. So if you're here, please leave me a comment. Let me know you're here. If you're watching the replay, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I would really appreciate it. I'm trying to get my subscribership up. We're over 300, but I would like it to go up. I'd like to eventually, my goal is 1,000. So if we can at least get to 500 in the next couple of weeks, I'd be happy. Share my videos, I'd be even happier. So, all right. So what we're going to do today is the North Carolina demos did, this was at the end of July, they did a card, several different cards. I have not shown any of them on my personal blog, but one was my design and two were Sandy Herman's. I decided to combine the Mountain Air stamp set, which she did a project with for a collage, and then the Beauty of Friendship. I hadn't really used it, but she did a beginner, avid, and an advanced card for one of our projects as well. So I'm actually even wearing my shirt I was supposed to wear to the quarterly meeting that I didn't get to go to. So I'm going to show you something with the combination of the two of them, which I'm really, I like both of them. They have their place. I really love the Mountain Air stamp set. It's like my favorite. And I happen to be scrolling through a couple of blogs, and I'll link them when I do the blog post about it, the two demonstrators that I liked both of their ideas, so I kind of mashed them together. That's my favorite thing to do, is find something I like and mash them together. Well, yesterday, here's a good funny for you. I decided to do one of those Mojo sketches, and I did a Mojo sketch, and the sketch was cool, but I put things together. This is how off I am about putting things together. There's this little guy. This little guy uses the sweet little stockings with the critters, and that's the stocking here. And this is the peekaboo, I don't know, peekaboo something. It's got horses and cows and all of that. And it's really cute, and I think they look great. I mean, look at them, that you can pop them over the little stocking. It's cute, but my color choices did not blend very well. I mean, it had a great, I don't know, I didn't like it, so that's probably the last time you'll see that one. I will probably recreate the Mojo with some better coordinating colors. I think if I fix my white paper and then the stocking, I'd probably be a lot better. But I spent my day yesterday cutting out, which doesn't really need to show you, but I took my brother's Scan Cut and I stamped all of these images from Sweet Little Stockings and all of the images from the Peekaboo stamp set, and there was another stamp set that I did. I did stockings, critters, and Peekaboo. So I did 3 pieces of paper and stamped as many as I could on this full sheet of Whisper white paper, or basic white, and cut them all out. So now I have bunches sitting in my drawer and can create whenever I want to. The mood strikes me with that stamp set. So now, without further ado, again, if you're here, comment, like, share. If you're watching the replay, subscribe to my channel, comment, like, and share. I'm going to draw a person to receive this card that we do today. So I'm going to flip you over and we'll get to it. All right, so here is our plan, and hopefully I have enough light. This is what we're going to make. This is my combination of the two cards together. This is the Beauty of Friendship. This is our Mountain Air. And this background here on the watercolor paper comes from the Beauty of Friendship. And then we've got just a touch of Beauty of Friendship DSP. I am going to change up the colors just a hair because I already had some cardstock embossed, and so we're just going to do that. And I'm going to make this basic gray, and this is going to be the soft succulents. So let me flip this over, or move this out of the way so you guys can watch how we're going to do it. So I'm going to go over some supplies. Of course, both of these sets, and I am using the die cuts for both of them. So you'll need the bundles of those. I already have a mountain air, just the mountains, cut out from just basic gray DSP. This is just a sliver of DSP from the Beauty of the Earth Designer Series paper. I have a piece of watercolor paper. It is 5 by 3.5. Looks like it's 3.5, maybe a little bit over 3.5. And then we have this piece of paper, which is Evening Evergreen, just a fit by 1/8 all the way around it, just like that. And then this is Soft Succulent. It is 4.25 by 5.5, and it's embossed with the bark embossing folder. And then, of course, I have just our basic thick cardstock. It is 11 by 4.25, scored at 5.5. And then I just have a half sheet of the basic white cardstock for all of our stamping images. You may not need this much, but you're going to need more than half that sheet. So I got the whole thing. Now make sure you have a pad, because these are polymer stamps and they will require a little extra oomph. I will probably do a lot of my stamping with my Stamparatus, especially the mountains, because I want to make sure that they're good. So we're going to start stamping. First, we're going to take our watercolor paper, because, you know, that's going to need a few minutes to dry once we get it cut. So let me move the rest of this stuff out of our way. And I'm going to show you a cool little technique. Now, you all know I love watercolor paper, and I love to do things with water. Hey, Google, that wasn't for you. I love how Google decides to listen, and it's not his turn. Okay, so we're going to take the not detailed, well, yeah, we want the detailed piece, this one. Actually, no, it's the not so detailed. This one, this is the one you want. Oh, somehow I have you back on me. Ah, okay, I'm talking, I gotta move the mouse out of the way because it keeps doing things. So we're gonna need this one. This is the not so detailed stamp. And I need a block, which I have all of my lovely little blocks right here underneath me. Alright, we got that set, and my phone started doing crazy things too. I'm going to just set this to the side, and I have Soft Succulent and Balmy Blue here. These are the two inks we're going to use for this portion of this. Get that out of the way. And I need my spritzer. I keep my spritzer on my desk full of water at all times, because you never know when the mood might strike. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this off screen. I'm going to spritz my watercolor paper. Now again, it is 3.5 by 5. Now you don't need it super, super wet, but you do see that it is curling a little bit, and that means it's probably got some puddles. So I'm gonna shake off the puddles. So there we go. Now I'm gonna take my Balmy Blue first. I'm gonna do my sky first. And I know this just seems crazy. You're using a tree for the sky. Yes, I am. I'm gonna just stick this in here and get some ink up, and literally take my stamp, but you see how it blends and bleeds, and it gives this beautiful little swooshy look. And you can add as much or as little as you like, and it's okay if you go a little further over. And my husband just let my dog in, so if you hear a little bark, That's just Dr. Pepper. Say hello to Dr. Pepper. All right, I'm going to leave that just like that and close up my balmy blue. Now I need to clean off my stamp because I don't want any more of the balmy blue. And I'm going to use the same stamp. And I'm going to come in with Soft Succulent. You could use Evening Evergreen. That's entirely up to you. But I'm going to use the Soft Succulent. And we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to poke down here, making sure y'all can see this. And I'm just coming in here and randomly adding these trees. And with it being wet, it will blend. And if it's not wet enough, you just spritz it a little more. So that gives your background a little depth. And I'm actually going to spritz this just a hair on the bottom because it kind of dried up on me. There we go. So it kind of blurs them a little bit. I don't want them perfectly aligned, but I want them to be noticeable. So this is what you see. We're going to set it aside. You could heat dry this if you would like, but I'm just going to set it aside because I have other things that I need to do to make this work. Okay? And see how I've got a puddle right here? I can just take a piece of paper towel. You could either shake it off, or you could do like I'm going to do, and I'm just going to tap it off a little bit here on the ends. A lot of this you won't really see too much of the bottom, so it's fine. All right, so I'm going to set this aside so it can dry. I'm going to find a dry spot, dry clear spot for it, and not so it doesn't blow off anywhere. And I'm going to clean my stamp just so that it doesn't get everything else messy. I will need it again later. So there we go. That one's clean. Now I'm going to go on to getting my Stamparatus. Don't need this at the moment. And we're going to use, I'm going to do, since my little extra piece has some of the Mary Merlot in it, I'm going to use Mary Merlot for my mountains. Now remember, I changed my gray here to a basic. So I'm going to do mountains in Mary Merlot. Just changing up the colors just so you can see how pretty it can be. So I'm going to take that piece of Whisper White that I've got, or basic. They changed it on us, and you know, I have a hard time changing the name in my mind. You get so used to saying one thing and then it changes. So, you know, there is that. So I have this nifty little Misty tool. I know it's not a Misty, but it's perfect to keep everything aligned. So now I'm going to take my Mountain Air stamp, and I'm going to take my mountain here. And you can see mine are very well loved. And I'm trying not to touch my keyboard either, but sometimes it happens. That's why my mouse keeps clicking for me to put my desktop back on the desktop view, which you guys don't want to see my ugly mug right now. You want to create. So I've got this right here at the edge. I'm going to cut this out so it doesn't really matter where it's placed on our piece of paper. And I'm just going to pull it up. The beauty of this little guy here, I love it because it fits your paper right back into the same spot. Remember your marks. And I have my foam board on here as well. So I'm going to put an extra magnet down. And then I'm just going to stamp my mountains. And I'm going to make sure I put enough ink on here. Now you could stamp these off if you wanted them a little lighter. I'm just going to let them roll with what color we get because I'm not that particular. I don't even know if it's going to look good in the Mountain Air. But this is what we're going with. Now the color I used before was Smoky Slate. And see, it missed one. And that's okay. That's why I use the Stamparatus. And I will go back and I will press down on it. There we go. Got some beautiful mountains. And we're going to take and die cut these out. And I am going to go ahead and wipe off this because I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and put it back because I will need to use my Stamparatus again. And I will be using my trees next. But I will use the trees towards the end when I know what room I need. Because they're going to have a little bit of edge and we're going to trim them out. So let me cut these out and get my die cut. Ooh, I managed to get a lot of ink on me. Must be the, yes, it's all around the edges. So let me get that off of me as best I can. And get my dies. And we're going to cut it out. I'm using my Big Shot or my cut and emboss piece, but I'm using it to the edge because I don't have enough room on my desk to do both. Okay, let's cut these out so that they're nice and pretty cut mountains. I trimmed my paper. If you saw me put my paper there, I trimmed it enough that I could put it through my my scanning cut. You know, again, they changed the name of stuff, and I have a hard time remembering. I get it embedded in my brain of what it was, and it's really hard for me to change. It will always be a Big Shot to me. All right, there's our mountains. I probably could have cut them a little better here, but it shifted on me. I can trim that if I wanted to. All right, so we're gonna leave our mountains to the side. Now we're going to stamp some trees. Where's my other little mountains? They're in this pile somewhere. All right, we're going to stamp trees now. And we're going to do them the same way. And I'm going to go ahead and do them in evening evergreen because I just think it looks better, or that it's going to look better. We're using such bold colors on the rest of it. Let me clean. We did clean this off, right? Yep, we cleaned it off. Yay! And now let's do our trees. Okay, the trees are not in here. Where'd they go? Uh-oh. Not good. My trees are missing. Don't you hate that? Okay, well, we're going to have to skip the trees for the moment. Let's do these other trees. I may have put it in the wrong stamp set, you know? I have never had it happen where I've actually misplaced my actual stamp. I usually have everything right back in the case. But for some strange reason, it's not in that case. It's not in this case either. All right, you remember that, oh, it's because it's right here. Y'all are probably going, it's right there. There it is. I need to pick it up. Okay, got it. Crazy, crazy girl, huh? All right, we're going back to the trees. We're going to use Evening Evergreen. And we're going to just put some ink on these. Now, I personally would probably like to do a second generation stamping. So I'm going to take this little sheet down here. And I'm just going to cover it once. See how it kind of lightened it up. There we go. Now let's see how this does. Hopefully it works, but that's the beauty of my Stamparatus. If we don't like it, we can stamp it again. And it's a little too light, so yeah, that's too late. We're just going to go back with the full fudge. And right back down in the same spot. There we go. We've got some pretty trees, nice and bright. And I'm just going to move this. We're done with this now. And now I'm going to stamp my tree here. So we're going to use, and we're going to die cut all of this at one time. I need my long one. Here we go. I'm going to use some soft suede on our tree itself. And again, I have this foam pad underneath because these are polymers and they definitely need the extra. Okay, we've got that one all done. And now we're going to go back with that same stamp that you used for the blending back here. And we're going to stamp in soft suede or soft succulent, the color of my shirt. And we're going to just stamp this once. Right here. Could be anywhere on your piece of paper. I have extra paper for sure. Okay, and then we're going to come back and stamp an Evening Evergreen. Let me move this out of the way, and this is when I should clean it, but I'm trying to get these finished for you. So we're not on here for hours. Look at my hand. I'm so covered in ink today. All right, and now we're going to take the detailed stamp for that same tree, and we're going to stamp over the tree. And we're just going to go right on top. Same colors that we used in the quarterly, because they meld so well together for a scene like this. Okay. Now we've got all of our stamping done. I'm going to move this out of our way. Actually, I should just go ahead and clean it because, you know, I don't want this everywhere. Okay. Move this out of the way. And we're going to go ahead and die cut this. I have it everywhere. My hands are so full. So we're going to die cut the tree and this portion, and we're going to cut this out. So our tree has a die cut. So we have these two die cuts, and we're going to hand cut this out just kind of on the edge. Be right back. And these would cut out in a mini embossing machine as well, if you have one of those instead of the big one. And it's okay if you don't get your edges of your tree perfect, because you're not going to see the edges of the tree. All right. Now we have our tree top. Put these dies back. And we have our tree base. And I'm going to fussy cut this. And the problem with having ink all over my hands is you see how the white is not so white anymore. It's got bits and pieces of color everywhere. As you can see, I'm just kind of going with the path of this. I'm not going to trim it straight because it's not, definitely not a straight edge. Now all of this will be trimmed up as well when we put it on our card base, which our card base is nice and dry now. Here's our final look at the card base that we're going to use. So now it's kind of an assembly thing. Move the mountains dies out of the way. Actually, we need to trim this out. We have one more trimming to do with the die cut. And it is with the Mountain Air stamp set. It is to trim around the tops of our trees, which I should have done when I did the rest. But I got distracted because I couldn't find my stamp. So we're just trimming these tops of these trees. And when you trim with this one, it is much better to go vertically instead of horizontally, because horizontally tends to mess up the cutting and the machine. It doesn't give you a good cut. There we go. Got that all cut out, and I'm going to put this back. Okay, so now we're going to position and see where we want. see where we want these. We've got this. We have our solid. Now your solid piece you're going to actually put backwards like this. And we're just going to keep it pretty even, just like this. You can go ahead and adhere these down. I'm going to actually trim off some of this white. It's too much white for my taste. And we're just trimming up a little more. I mean, technically I could have put this back through the die cut, but I don't want to go there. I'm just going to trim it up myself. Sometimes they're not great, sometimes they're wonderful. They're wonderful if you have tape. They haven't fixed our magnetic board to go with this new die cut yet, so it's hard to get those images cut just perfectly because of the magnetic piece does not work very well. And I have not tried to put my old magnetic piece with the new machine. So alright, so I'm just, now that I've got it trimmed, I'm going to go ahead and glue this down so that it's even. We will cut this because obviously it's not going to all fit. So I'm going to just glue them together. Because I'm not so particularly worried about the length, but I'm going to glue them so that I like them, and I like it just like that. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do the same thing of this. I'm just going to glue these right in front. But before I do that, I'm going to take a little bit of water and just kind of blend that a little bit. Or you could also take your soft succulent, kind of stamp some color in there. I'm just going to use my aqua painter and try to blend it out a little bit. And if I needed to bring in with this evening evergreen, it will blend enough just so that it's not so stark white here on the bottom. Just like this. There you go. So none of that looks super white. You could come in with your, blends, whatever you want to add some color. You could use your light evergreen. But I think that works just as good. It blends it out enough that it looks like it's meant to be that way. Now I'm going to take my treetops and I'm going to do them a little lower so you get a good view of those mountains. So when I put my glue on, I'm just going to put it on the edge right here of my mountains itself. That way I can put it right where I want it. Alright. And mind you, we are cutting these, so it doesn't have to be uber perfect. But I'm going to leave them just like this. That way you get to see those mountains and it'll be beautiful. Now what you're going to do is, these were glued down flat. So I'm just going to glue them down just wherever I want. You could pop them up if you'd like, but I have a tree that's going to pop up as well. So you just have to figure out where you'd like it. Kind of like it like right here. So I'm going to put some glue on the back of my mountains and my trees, because you're going to keep this whole thing, but you're just going to trim it. So you're probably going to have a little extra glue. You could put the glue here. Either way works. And then I'm just going to pop this right here. I'm leaving enough room. I'm going to have a sentiment down here. And we're just going to go right like that. There you go. And I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to cut it. And yes, I'm cutting it with glue. So let me get my other snips that have the protective covering on them. There we go. Now you've got your mountain scene. I'll move these and throw these away because they're sticky. Unless you need them for another spot, you could use them absolutely in another thing. Now see, this is still kind of dark. I'm going to come in here with my aqua painter again, and I'm going to try to blend it out a little more. And if that doesn't work, I will just add color to my aqua painter. But I want that stark white to kind of go away. That doesn't work so well. So we need to go in here, put a little water. There we go. just don't want it to be so white. There we go. Much better. Okay. Done with that portion. Let's clean off our brush. Put the brush away. Okay. Tree is done. Now we have our evening evergreen, which this is going to go right on top of the evening evergreen. You could change up the colors. It's your card. You do you, and that's okay. I glue my watercolor paper down. Just like so. And now it's on there good. And before I put any of the rest of this stuff on, I'm going to make sure where it's going to go here. See, it's going to go right on there, and look how it pops. And we're going to have this lovely little piece of coordinating cardstock right here on the side. So it pops out those mountains right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap my ribbon first. I have it right here. We did the evening evergreen. I'm not sure. I'm thinking of maybe doing some gold. I did get the gold from the new catalog. And just to add a little fun to it, we could always do more of the evening evergreen. That's where you can always change up. But we don't have a Mary Mallow colored ribbon. If anybody's here, would you all suggest doing the evening evergreen? We could also do soft succulent. Oh, that's not soft succulent. Here's the soft succulent. Soft succulent's too light. We could do white. I think I'm going to just go with the evening evergreen. I just think it looks better. So I'm going to actually take this and I'm going to put this around here first before I do anything else. And I'm going to wrap it by putting some adhesive on both sides where I want it to be. And I'm just using a tape runner. This is just to kind of hold my ribbon in place while I do the rest. And it kind of gets rid of that fine line and any of the white that you had left over. Now that we've done this, I'm going to take another piece of my evening evergreen and slide it through, and I'm just going to tie a knot. I don't need a bow because I think this could be kind of a masculine card. If you want it to be a masculine card, you could make it feminine and put a bow, but I like just the tie. It's kind of earthy, and well, there aren't big bows in, just I like the bow. I don't like the bow on this one. And we're just going to trim it up so that it works. There we go. So there you've got your bow-ish. And then we're going to figure out, we're going to put this on the edge. I kind of like the Mary Merlot at the top. So we're going to, this is actually only like 1/4 to 3/4. And we're just going to put a little bit of glue on the back of this piece so that it will stay, and then we can glue the whole thing down. Okay. And I'm literally just going to give it a little room. Hopefully I still have enough room. There we go. So when I put it here, yes, I have room on both sides. Perfect. This might be a little too far in. Perfect. Now you can go ahead and glue this down to your base. The whole thing. And I always make sure I put extra over the ribbons so that they don't come off and come apart. And something I have done that I should not have done is I did not put my sentiment on first. I actually did my sentiment on the other one last as well because I wasn't thinking. You can choose any of your sentiments anywhere that you like. We don't have sentiments in our mountain air. There are no sentiments. I just think that's weird. So I'm going to do an evening evergreen. You could do Mary Merlot to pull out the colors, which I'm not going to do because I don't feel like playing and not liking it when I'm done, because I want to mail this out to somebody. So I'm using evening evergreen, and I'm literally just going to stamp it down here in the corner. You could put it up in your sky if you'd like. So there you go. You truly inspire me. Now we're going to put our tree on, and we'll be done. Tree and the main base, the card base. Okay, where's the rest of my little tree images? Here's one. Here's my other piece. So we're going to decide where we want our tree. And you got to remember, you've got this big old piece to go on top. So you kind of want to see your mountains, but you could have it over your mountains too. It doesn't matter. So it's going to need to come over a little more. But I want it to go up over the ribbon. So we'll go right about here. Okay. So now that gives me an idea of where to put my tree. I'm just going to glue down the whole tree itself, the trunk. We're just going to put some glue on that, and we're going to put that down. The actual treetop will be done. Let me put this up so I know where it goes. So we're going to go right here. So this piece will be done with some dimensionals. And I just use a couple. I don't need to do a lot of them on this. I just use 2. You know, dimensionals work so wonderfully that you don't need a whole bunch. And we're going to put this right here. And you could do a smaller tree top if you would like. I think this one kind of makes it look a little off, but it's okay. And then I'll fix my ribbon here again. There we go. And then I'm just going to put this on my base. Let me get my bone folder out, which is probably hiding somewhere. It is. Oh, here it is. It was hiding, of course. There we go. Bone folded. Place this down. Actually, it seems to be that this may be scored incorrectly, or this piece is not long enough. No, it's 5.5. So how big is this? This is much bigger. So let's go cut this so that it's 5.5, right? That must have been taken out of one of my 12 by 12s. Now what you could do with this, like you did in the quarterly meeting, is you could stamp something on the inside, have a tree, have a little bit of mountains. That would be up to you. I'm just putting a little glue on here, making sure that it holds onto this card base. And there you go. There is your card. Beautimous, isn't it? There you go. What you guys think? I think I love them. They're a little different, but I actually like this one better. It shows off those mountains so much better. I will link the 2 that I used for these 2 cards. The watercoloring was on a different card, and the mountains was on a different card with the tree. So I kind of combined the 2, and I think they turned out really great. I'm in love with them. I don't know about you, but if you like them, please share my video. Let me flip it back over so you can see my ugly mug. Gotta get the mouse. There we go. So if you guys like what I did today, don't mind the mess behind me. I've been playing with all of these new toys. So, y'all have a good day. Have a great Saturday. I'm going to go spend some time with my grandkids and then clean my craft room. So I hope you like, share, and those who like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will enter you into a drawing, and the winner will get the card I made today. Y'all have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.